Imagine walking into a dealership, signing papers for a $70,000 luxury SUV, and then watching that same vehicle lose half its value in just 18 months. Not because you drove it hard, not because it is old, but because the brand itself is collapsing. That is the nightmare thousands of luxury car buyers are living through right now. The automotive industry is in crisis mode, and some of the most prestigious nameplates are quietly bleeding billions. Dealers are shutting down, warranties are becoming worthless, and resale values are plummeting faster than anyone predicted. In this breakdown, 7 luxury brands stand on the edge of financial disaster. Stick around for number 1 because that brand's hidden collapse could cost owners everything. Number 7. Jaguar. There was a time when Jaguar represented British elegance at its finest. The E-Type is still considered one of the most beautiful cars ever made. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Jaguar commanded respect, competing directly with Mercedes, Benz and BMW while maintaining its own unique character. Celebrities drove Jaguars. Executives parked them in front of corner offices. The brand had cachet, heritage, and a loyal following. But today, Jaguar is a brand in freefall. The turning point came when Tata Motors acquired Jaguar Land Rover in 2008. While Land Rover thrived, Jaguar never recovered its footing. The company tried to reinvent itself multiple times, launching sporty sedans, compact crossovers, and even an electric SUV. Nothing worked. Instead of doubling down on what made Jaguar special, the brand chased trends and lost its soul. The data paints a grim picture. In 2018, Jaguar sold roughly 180,000 vehicles globally. By 2023, that number had collapsed to under 65,000 units. That is a 64% decline in just 5 years. In the United States, sales dropped from over 30,000 units in 2017 to fewer than 7,000 in 2023. Dealerships are disappearing. Production cuts have become routine, with the company announcing temporary factory shutdowns and voluntary buyouts for workers. Jaguar lost its identity. It tried to be sporty like BMW but couldn't match the driving dynamics. It attempted to be luxurious like Mercedes, but fell short on interior quality. The brand became a jack of all trades and master of none. Competitors like Genesis and Polestar entered the market with fresher designs, making Jaguar feel outdated and overpriced. The risks for Jaguar owners are serious. Resale values have collapsed. A 3-year-old F-Pace that originally cost $55,000 now struggles to fetch $25,000. The shrinking dealer network means fewer places to get service, and parts availability is becoming a concern. If Jaguar doesn't survive the next few years, what happens to long-term parts supply and software updates? When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. If you are considering buying a Jaguar, make sure you understand the long-term risks. Number 6. Maserati once embodied Italian passion and performance. The Trident logo symbolized exclusivity and racing heritage. In the 1950s and 60s, Maserati competed at the highest levels of motorsport. Owning a Maserati meant you appreciated automotive artistry. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the brand retained an aura of prestige. But prestige doesn't pay the bills. The brand currently sits under Stellantis, and the conglomerate has been ruthlessly cutting underperforming divisions. The strategic mistake came when Maserati tried to go mainstream. In the early 2010s, the company expanded production dramatically, launching the Ghibli sedan and Levante SUV, with the goal of competing against BMW and Mercedes in volume. It backfired spectacularly. Global sales peaked at around 52,000 units in 2017, then began a steep decline. By 2023, Maserati sold fewer than 15,000 vehicles worldwide. That is a 71% collapse in 6 years. In the United States, sales dropped from over 16,000 in 2014 to just 6,400 in 2023. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares has publicly questioned whether Maserati deserves continued investment. The core problem is quality and reliability. Maserati vehicles are plagued with mechanical issues, electrical gremlins, and build quality problems inexcusable at their price point. Consumer Reports ranks Maserati among the least reliable luxury brands. Owners report frequent breakdowns, expensive repairs, and frustrating dealer experiences. When a Ghibli costs $75,000 but feels less refined than a $45,000 Genesis, the value proposition evaporates. The financial risks for Maserati owners are severe. Depreciation is brutal. A 2-year-old Levante that originally sold for $85,000 might be worth $40,000 today. That is a $45,000 loss in just 24 months. The dealer network is shrinking. Parts are expensive and sometimes hard to source. And the elephant in the room, if Stellantis decides Maserati isn't worth saving, what happens to existing owners? The company has already killed off brands like Plymouth. When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. If you are considering buying one, make sure you understand the long-term risks. Number 5. Fay Genesis represents one of the automotive industry's most ambitious experiments. Launched in 2015 as Hyundai's luxury division, Genesis was supposed to prove that a Korean automaker could compete with established German giants. The brand invested billions in design, technology, and marketing. Early reviews were overwhelmingly positive. Automotive journalists praised the G80 sedan and GV80 SUV for their elegant styling and generous standard equipment. But critical acclaim doesn't translate to sales. The fundamental mistake was underestimating the power of brand prestige in the luxury segment. Buyers spending $60,000 or more aren't just purchasing transportation. They're buying status and heritage. A BMW badge carries decades of cultural weight. Genesis has none of that. The numbers tell a troubling story. Genesis sold approximately 280,000 vehicles globally in 2022, far below internal projections. In the U.S. market, Genesis moved just 56,000 units in 2023, a fraction of what BMW or Lexus achieve. For context, Lexus sold over 250,000 vehicles in America that same year. Despite launching multiple new models and spending heavily on advertising, Genesis has failed to build meaningful market share. Industry analysts suggest the division is operating at a significant loss. Genesis can't decide if it wants to be a value alternative to German luxury or a true premium competitor. The pricing reflects this confusion. Genesis vehicles are typically priced 10 to 20% below equivalent BMW models, which signals to buyers that the brand doesn't believe in its own worth. The brand exists in no man's land, too pricey for budget, conscious shoppers, and not prestigious enough for true luxury seekers. For Genesis owners, the risks are mounting. Resale values are weak, with 3-year-old G70 sedans losing 50 to 60% of their original value. The limited dealer network means service can be inconvenient outside major cities. The brand's future is uncertain. Hyundai has publicly committed to continuing Genesis, but patience is wearing thin. If sales don't improve in the next 2 to 3 years, the division could be quietly wound down. When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. Number 4. Fay Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo is a brand drenched in romance and heartbreak. For over a century, Alfa has represented Italian passion, racing pedigree, and emotional design. The brand's racing history includes Formula One victories and countless championships. To enthusiasts, Alfa represents everything a car should be: beautiful, engaging, and temperamental. The brand's return to North America in 2014, after a 20-year absence, was supposed to mark a triumphant comeback. The Giulia sedan and Stelvio SUV won awards and captured hearts. But heart doesn't cover operating costs. The brand currently operates under Stellantis and CEO Carlos Tavares has made it clear that underperforming divisions will be eliminated. Alfa's strategic mistake was launching a comeback without the scale to sustain it. 2 models aren't enough to support a global luxury brand. Alfa promised a full lineup, but most plans have been delayed or canceled. Sales data reveals a brand in crisis. Globally, Alfa Romeo sold approximately 54,000 vehicles in 2022, down from 64,000 in 2021. In the United States, Alfa moved just 8,900 vehicles in 2023, a collapse from 23,800 units sold in 2018. Dealerships are closing at an alarming rate. Stellantis has publicly stated that every brand must justify its existence with profitability, and Alfa Romeo is nowhere close to breaking even. The reliability issues haven't helped. While the Giulia and Stelvio drive beautifully, they're plagued with electronic problems and build quality inconsistencies. Consumer Reports ranks Alfa Romeo among the least reliable brands. When buyers choose between an Alfa Romeo Giulia and a BMW 3 Series, the decision comes down to trust. BMW wins every time. Ownership risks are substantial. Depreciation on Alfa Romeo vehicles is among the worst in the luxury segment. A 3-year-old Giulia Quadrifoglio that cost $80,000 new might sell for $35,000 today. The shrinking dealer network makes servicing inconvenient. And the existential question looms: if Stellantis kills the brand, what happens to part supply for existing vehicles? When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. Number 3. Infiniti. Once represented Nissan's premium ambitions. Launched in 1989, alongside Lexus, Infiniti entered the American market impressively. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Infiniti built a reputation for performance-oriented luxury, with models like the G35 attracting enthusiasts who wanted something different from the German establishment. But Infiniti never capitalized on that early promise. The strategic mistake came when Nissan itself began struggling financially. Instead of investing in Infiniti's growth, Nissan diverted resources to fix its own problems, leaving Infiniti starved for development. The brand's lineup became stale. Model names were changed to confusing alphanumeric codes. Infiniti tried to expand globally, even moving headquarters to Hong Kong in 2012. But the effort failed spectacularly. The sales collapse has been dramatic. In 2017, Infiniti sold approximately 246,000 vehicles worldwide. By 2023, that number had plummeted to roughly 80,000 units, a 67% decline. In the United States, sales dropped from 153,000 units in 2017 to just 46,000 in 2023. The brand has pulled out of Western Europe and Australia entirely. Nissan's financial struggles have only worsened Infiniti's situation. The identity problem is severe. Infiniti vehicles are essentially rebadged Nissans with leather seats. The QX50 shares its platform with the Nissan Rogue. Buyers are paying a luxury premium for what amounts to a mainstream Nissan, and they've figured it out. The brand has lost its reason to exist. For Infiniti owners, the risks are mounting. Resale values are terrible, with 3-year-old models losing 60% or more of their value. The dealer network is shrinking. And the biggest risk, if Nissan decides Infiniti is no longer worth the investment, the brand could be quietly discontinued. When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. Number 2. Cadillac. Cadillac was once the undisputed king of American luxury. From the 1940s through the 1970s, Cadillac represented success and the American dream. The Eldorado DeVille and Fleetwood were cultural icons. At its peak in the mid-1970s, Cadillac sold over 300,000 vehicles annually in the United States alone. But that dominance collapsed decades ago. The turning point came in the 1980s when Japanese luxury brands like Lexus entered with superior quality. Cadillac's response was slow and ineffective. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Cadillac made multiple attempts to reinvent itself, but never restored its position at the top. Today, Cadillac is a brand in crisis. U.S. sales have collapsed from 175,000 units in 2016 to approximately 134,000 in 2023. Roughly 60% of those sales are the Escalade SUV. Cadillac has essentially become a one-product brand. Every other Cadillac model struggles. Global sales outside North America are nearly non-existent. General Motors has poured billions into Cadillac's revival with little to show for it. The company moved headquarters to New York City in 2015, attempting to appeal to coastal elites. The strategy failed, and headquarters moved back to Michigan in 2021. The brand's identity remains confused. Is Cadillac a traditional American luxury brand, a performance alternative to BMW, an electric vehicle pioneer? The inconsistent messaging has left buyers uncertain. The ownership risks are significant. Resale values on most Cadillac models are poor. A 3-year-old CT6 sedan that cost $60,000 new might struggle to fetch $25,000. The biggest risk is GM's commitment. If Cadillac's EV strategy fails and sales continue to fall, how long will GM continue investing? When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. Number 1. Fay Lincoln's collapse is the most shocking story on this list, because it is happening in slow motion, hidden behind strategic spin. To the casual observer, Lincoln might seem stable. But beneath the surface, Lincoln is being quietly dismantled. Lincoln was once the pinnacle of American luxury, rivaling Cadillac for prestige. The Continental and Town Car were iconic symbols of success. In the 1980s, Lincoln sold over 200,000 vehicles annually. But Lincoln never adapted to changing buyer preferences. Ford Motor Company has made multiple attempts to revive the brand, and every single one has failed. The Navigator SUV was redesigned and became a hit, but that success was isolated. Every other Lincoln model has struggled. The Aviator, Nautilus, and Corsair are essentially rebadged Ford Explorers and Edges with nicer interiors. The sales data is devastating. Lincoln sold approximately 83,000 vehicles in the United States in 2023, down from 188,000 in 2000. That is a 56% collapse over 2 decades. Globally, Lincoln barely exists. The Navigator accounts for a disproportionate share of revenue, meaning the brand is dependent on one model. Ford's commitment to Lincoln is weakening. The company has quietly reduced investment, canceling planned models and delaying updates. Lincoln no longer has a dedicated platform. The dealer network is shrinking. Ford's executives have hinted that Lincoln's future is uncertain. Lincoln isn't profitable. It hasn't been for years. For Lincoln owners, the risks are severe. Resale values are among the worst in the luxury segment. A 3-year-old Aviator that cost $65,000 new might be worth $30,000 today. The existential question hangs over every Lincoln purchase. How much longer will this brand exist? Ford has killed brands before. Mercury was eliminated in 2011. Ford is ruthlessly focused on profitability, and Lincoln doesn't contribute to that goal. When automakers struggle, owners feel the impact first. Number final. Thoughts: the luxury automotive market is undergoing a brutal transformation. Legacy brands that relied on heritage are discovering that reputation alone isn't enough. Buyers demand reliability, technology, and value. When luxury brands fail to deliver, they lose relevance. Before buying any luxury vehicle, research the brand's financial health and long-term viability. Which brand on this list surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.